I'm about to tell you about the most ruthless queen you've never heard of. This woman single-handedly destroyed one of Africa's greatest empires. This isn't a movie, this is real. Her enemies literally called her the Monster and the Fire. Legend says she massacred every single noble family, burned churches to the ground, and smashed monuments that were hundreds of years old. For 40 years, she ruled a devastated empire with an iron fist. Her campaign of terror completely erased a royal family from history and rewrote the future of Ethiopia. This is the insane story of Gudit, the fearsome queen people are still whispering about in Ethiopia more than 1,000 years later. Okay, to understand how insane Gudit's rampage was, you need to see what she destroyed. We're talking about the Kingdom of Aksum. For nearly 1,000 years, this place was a mega powerhouse of trade and culture, stretching from Africa to Asia. Imagine an empire covering parts of Sudan, crossing the Red Sea, and into the Arabian Peninsula. Its capital, also named Aksum, was this incredible city, where merchants traded ivory, gold, spices, everything. It was a global hub for business and ideas. The rulers of Aksum claimed they were descended from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba from the Bible. This wasn't just a story, it was the foundation of their power, mixing their rule with the will of God. Then, in the 4th century, the Aksumite Empire became one of the first states in the world to officially become Christian. Churches and monasteries popped up everywhere, becoming centers of learning, wealth, and incredible power. The symbols of their might were these giant stone obelisks called stelae that shot into the sky, some over 20 meters high. They were insane feats of engineering. And get this, their most holy site, the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion, was said to hold the actual Ark of the Covenant, brought there by the son of Solomon and Sheba. Having the Ark made Aksum not just a capital, but the holy center of their universe. But by the 10th century, this golden empire was crumbling. Its territories were lost, trade was drying up, and it was fracturing from the inside. The Christian kingdom was surrounded by rivals. There was massive tension between the Christian ruling class and other groups, including communities that practiced traditional African religions and the Jewish community, known as the Beta Israel. The whole place was a ticking time bomb, just waiting for a spark. And that spark was a woman whose story is as debatable as her actions were destructive. So, who was Gudit? This is where it gets crazy, because nobody agrees. The historical records are a total mess, painting her as either a monster, a wronged royal, or a revolutionary hero. Her story is a historical puzzle. One of the most popular traditions, especially from her Christian enemies, says she was an outsider, a Jewish queen. Some versions say she was a princess of the Beta Israel, leading a war for religious and political freedom against the Christian empire that oppressed her people. A crazier version claims she was a disgraced Aksumite princess who got exiled, married a foreign prince, converted to Judaism, and came back at the head of an army for ultimate revenge. Her name is a clue. Gudit is super close to the Amharic word for monstrous. Her other nickname? Esato, which literally means the fire, a scary reference to her favorite method of destruction. But wait, other historians have completely different theories. A famous Italian scholar argued she wasn't Jewish at all, but a pagan queen from the powerful Kingdom of Damat, fighting back against the expanding Christian empire. This is backed up by an Arab historian from the 970s, who wrote that a powerful queen who had killed the emperor was ruling Abyssinia. A newer theory suggests the Jewish destroyer story was fake news. Some scholars now think Gudit was an Aksumite noble herself, a Christian who made a play for the throne. Then, after she died, the dynasty that took back power needed to make her look bad, so they branded her a foreign Jewish church burner to erase her 40-year reign from history. Was she a vengeful warrior, a banished princess, a pagan queen, or a Christian noble whose story was rewritten by her enemies? We might never know for sure, but the mystery just makes her legend even more terrifying. What isn't a mystery, though, is the trail of absolute destruction she left behind. Around the year 960, the storm broke. Gudit unleashed a campaign so brutal it was burned into Ethiopia's memory for 1,000 years. Her goals were simple and total: overthrow the emperor, shatter the church's power, and wipe the ruling family from existence. Her army, a coalition of fed-up groups, tore through the highlands at terrifying speed. The capital city of Aksum, the empire's crown jewel, was one of her first targets. Palaces were torched. Those giant stone stelae, the symbols of Aksum's greatness, were toppled and shattered. But Gudit saved her real fury for the symbols of Christianity. This wasn't just a political takeover, it was like a holy war in reverse. Churches and monasteries across the kingdom were systematically looted and burned. The destruction was so complete that centuries later, you can still see black soot marks on the ceilings of ancient churches. A priest told a visitor in 1970 that the black marks were from Gudit, who stuffed a church with hay and lit it on fire 9 centuries earlier. They even say she destroyed the most sacred site, the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. According to the story, priests smuggled the Ark of the Covenant out just in time and hid it on an island for her entire 40-year reign. But her most chilling attack was on the royal family itself. Gudit knew that to win, she couldn't just beat the dynasty. She had to exterminate it. She hunted down every relative of the king, every prince who could possibly challenge her. Her main target was a legendary mountain fortress, a natural prison called Debre Damo, where all the male heirs were kept to prevent civil wars. Gudit turned it into a tomb. Oral traditions say she stormed the fortress and ordered the massacre of every single prince inside. Some accounts claim as many as 400 royals were slaughtered in one horrific event. It was a calculated move to cut the family tree at the root, making sure no legitimate heir could ever come back. She killed the emperor, seized the throne for herself, and launched a new, terrifying chapter in the nation's history. With the emperor dead, the church wrecked, and the nobles gone, Gudit took the throne. She ruled with total power for what they say was 4 decades, a period often called a dark age in Ethiopia. The destruction of monasteries meant that the people who wrote history were either dead or in hiding, so almost no written records from her reign survive. Her rule was a complete reset button. The center of power moved away from the old Aksumite territory, shifting south to the Lasta region. This mirrored the political shift, as the Christian elites were replaced by a new ruling class, the Agaw people. Some historians believe Gudit herself founded the new Zagwe Dynasty. The name Zagwe might even come from Zeagav, meaning of the Agaw, showing the rise of this once marginalized group. Other traditions say the next ruler officially started the dynasty. No matter what, Gudit was the one who made it happen. She created a massive power vacuum, and the Zagwe filled it. And here is the most insane irony of all. This new Zagwe dynasty would go on to build the world-famous rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. The infamous destroyer of churches paved the way for a dynasty celebrated for its incredible Christian buildings. How did she hold on to power for so long? By being absolutely ruthless. She had eliminated her rivals, and her military skill was undeniable. Contemporary Arab sources confirm that a powerful queen was ruling Abyssinia at this time, who controlled a huge territory and even traded gifts with the ruler of Yemen. This suggests that, despite all the chaos, Gudit built a stable and recognized kingdom. Her reign ended around the year 1000, and just like her origins, her death is a complete mystery. Some say she was finally overthrown, others that she just died. The long shadow she cast was dark, but it was a violent, bloody transition. She had torn down an ancient empire, but in doing so, she laid the foundations for a new one to rise from the ashes. The story of Gudit is one of the most shocking and complex in all of African history, a brutal saga of rebellion, conquest, and total transformation. It's a reminder of how much of our past is still hidden. If you think these deep dives into forgotten history are fascinating, take a moment to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're dedicated to bringing more insane stories like this out of the shadows, and your support helps us continue that mission. More than 1,000 years after her death, Gudit is still one of the most polarizing figures in Ethiopian history. Her legacy isn't one story, but many competing stories. She is remembered as both a demonic destroyer and a heroic liberator. In mainstream Ethiopian Christian tradition, her name is basically another word for evil. She is the ultimate villain, Esato, the fire, the heretic queen who waged war on God. To this day, when people in the Northern Highlands talk about destruction, her name comes up. She's the monster, the ultimate threat to their faith. But for another community, the story is completely different. For many among the Beta Israel, the Ethiopian Jews, Gudit is not a villain, but a hero. They proudly claim her as one of their own, a powerful queen who fought back against centuries of oppression by the Christian Empire. Her actions, which Christians see as destructive, are seen as legitimate acts of war. Even though modern scholars doubt she actually followed Judaism, her importance to the Beta Israel community is still massive. She represents a time when their people were strong enough to topple an empire. This forces us to ask insane questions. Was Gudit's campaign a religious holy war or a political struggle that was just framed in religious terms? Was she really trying to wipe out Christianity or just destroy the political and economic power of the church? Some modern historians think we should see her not as a fanatic, but as the leader of a regional power struggle against the total domination of the Aksumite kingdom. Her story is a stark reminder that history is usually written by the winners. The dynasty that eventually took back power in 1270 had every reason to paint the woman who overthrew their ancestors as a total monster. By branding her a heretical demon, they delegitimized her reign and the entire Zagwe Dynasty that followed her. Gudit, Yodit, Esato, the fire. Whatever you call her, her impact is undeniable. She was a queen who exploded onto the historical stage, a force of nature who wiped out a royal line and brought a 1,000-year-old empire to ruin. She burned churches, toppled monuments, and, as legend has it, ordered the systematic massacre of an entire noble class. Her rampage was so absolute that it created a vacuum, letting a new dynasty, the Zagwe, rise up and redefine Ethiopia for the next 3 centuries. She remains an enigma, a figure so destructive and so transformative that history itself doesn't know what to do with her. The tales of her violence are still told in the Ethiopian countryside, a sign of the deep scars she left on the nation. Yet, she is also celebrated as a symbol of defiance. The fire she unleashed did more than just destroy. It cleared the ground for a new era. Gudit irrevocably altered the path of a nation, and whether she was a demon or a liberator, her shadow looms large over the mountains of Ethiopia to this day. So what do you think? Was Gudit a vengeful destroyer, a righteous liberator, or a political mastermind whose story was twisted by her enemies? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this journey into the lost chapters of history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration of the past's most fascinating figures. Thanks for watching.